calling this meeting to order. So thank you everyone for showing your love for Palolo Valley and being here on this lovely Valentine's evening. So it's very new today because we have James here who is helping with the video. So this never really was an issue before, but I'll just repeat for the rules of speaking now, anyone wishing to speak is asked to raise their hand and when recognized by the chair to address comments to the chair. So this will be especially important today, especially board members, because you'll have to speak into the mic to be heard. Okay, so monthly reports. Is anyone present from the Honolulu Fire Department to provide the monthly report? Okay. Okay, so seeing none, I just want to thank Captain Chris Bartolome, Carol Otsuka, Daryl Mao, Thomas Inouye, and Daniel Andrade, who came to our event on January 27. Okay, anyone from HPD online? Okay. Seeing none, just want to thank Sergeant Frank Everett, Sergeant Brent Pia for also coming to that event. Okay, anyone from Board of Water Supply?
Yes, this is Dominic Diaz. Can you hear me?
Okay. Hi, go ahead.
Okay. Let's see, not much to report. Looking back, month of January, we did have two main breaks. So one fronting 2238 Waiomau Road and another fronting 2535 Lai Road. We do have one construction project in the valley, but it hasn't started yet. As of January, they hadn't started. That is the Waiomau Homestead Road 8-inch main replacement. Other than that, just a quick general announcement. The Board of Water Supply is providing customers with an opportunity for $100 rebates on WaterSense labeled toilets. So these are low flush toilets. It used to be a $40 rebate, but the Board of Water Supply has increased the rebate amount to $100. So purchase of a applicable toilet would be rewarded with a $100 rebate. You can always go to our website, www.boardofwatersupply.com/rebates. We've got a lot of rebate programs there, both residential and commercial. There is a limit, 4 per household or 10 for commercial customers. And that said, at this time, I'd be happy to take any questions on behalf of the Board of Water Supply.
Thank you. Any questions, board members? Board member Cherokee.
Dominic,
Yes.
we all gotta be lucky that we got Ernie Lau as the head of the Board of Water Supply. And he's fighting so that the Navy pay for the extra work now. Otherwise, the people, taxpayers gotta pay that, and he's fighting for that. That's right, right? So anyway, all the people.
Yes, there is a lot of work along those lines.
Right. So what I mean, he wants the Navy for pay for the extra work. So we all, the people who should all thank him very much. Okay, tell him that.
Will do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, board member Kawamoto. Oh, okay. Okay. Any other questions for Board of Water? Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm.
Thank you.
Dominic.
Thank you. Okay, so at the request of Board Member Kawamoto, I'm going to Honolulu Fire Department.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear? Okay, so this past week, there was a fire on 10th Avenue, and it looked like it started to smell like a chemical fire, but we found out it was actually right down the street here, and it was a fireworks fire. So apparently, and it was in the evening, late evening, and so I think what happened was, I don't know for what reason, but what was really disturbing about it, besides the smell, it was located in an area where if you're on the mountainside, which is where the house was at or the structure was at, there were like 4 houses all kind of clumped there. And if that thing had taken off, it would have been really tragic. So I called Colin to let him know what happened and hope we can get an update on what was really the cause, because the smell was really, really strong. So I hope no one is ill because of it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Board Member Kawamoto. So thank you for the reminder, because we actually did send an incident report request to HFD. So as soon as they get that, I will make that available to the board members and the public through the share drive. Okay. Thank you. Okay, we will move on to agenda item number 3, residents and community concerns. So at this time, are there any residents or community members present who would like to voice a concern?
Good evening. My name is Katie Fukunaga, and I'm a member of a neighborhood security watch group of 14 property owners. We are located on a private lane which begins at the Baha'i Center on 10th Avenue and Waiomau Road. We formed this neighborhood security watch group in October of last year, 4 months ago, concerned about auto break-ins and suspicious individuals roaming on our properties. In early December until this month, golf balls have been found in the yards of 7 residents, some more than once, twice for me, and damaging the solar panels of 2 property owners. Yes, these incidences have been reported to HPD 911. They are documenting all of this. We are very concerned about additional property damages, but most important, potential bodily harm. This concern is for our group as well as others in the neighborhood. Has anyone heard of similar incidences? Please encourage them to report these balls on their property to HPD 911. They're documenting all of this. The Maunalani Heights Neighborhood Security Watch Coordinator has called and met with us. She has been informed that an Asian male in his 50s was seen at an empty gated lot adjacent to Maunalani Hospital, which is directly above us. And he was wearing a golf glove. She is planning to contact the manager of the hospital to see if there is a connection and will get back to us. Corporal Mao of HPD is also personally involved and had assisted in our contact with Laurie, the coordinator. I am hoping that we will have positive news at the Palolo board meeting next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fukunaga. Any questions for Katie? Board Member Shiraki?
To make it clear, what you're saying right now, one hospital is above here, and so you live in someplace around here. The Malala Hospital is right across there. I know where it is. It's this area.
So Board Member Shiraki, so just to clarify, the main issue is that someone from,
Malala Hospital.
yes, is hitting golf balls down into the valley.
Right.
So
Are you gonna talk?
The mic.
People can hear you talking. Yeah.
Where was I?
I was just clarifying.
Oh,
Just clarifying for board member Shiraki. So
yo,
there was no question.
So we're just afraid that someday these golf balls are going to hit someone. That's why I'm here, because I'm really upset. I found two balls in my yard, and they could have damaged my car. They could have hit one of my grandbabies. They could have hit me, and I don't want to wait until that happens. So we are so grateful that Laurie has reached out and wants to find out what's happening up there that is causing all of this down here. So our property owners are paying for this damage for their solar panels. So what happens when we catch this person? I mean, what average person would consider hitting golf balls off the top of the mountain ridge onto homes down below? It's got to be arrested.
Thank you, Katie.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Do you have a question?
No. Okay.
Yeah, I'll go to board member Turbin.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, no, we appreciate it. No, this is a huge community concern. I guess two questions, one question, one thought. So it is coming up from the Montalani Heights side. Has there been any contact with the neighborhood watch or board members? Oh, Lord, okay. Okay, got it. Uh-huh.
Okay. Otherwise, you cannot hear you.
So I met Laurie's husband, who is a retired law professor,
Mhm.
University of Hawaii professor. So
Mhm.
that helps. You know,
Okay.
we have a lawyer involved.
Yeah.
Laurie had to go to the mainland, and she came back this past Monday. So I'm waiting to see when she reaches out to me again.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
I have notified all of our neighbors and Laurie and the corporal that I was coming here tonight.
Mhm.
to
Okay,
speak on
got it.
behalf
Yeah.
behalf of them.
Yeah. it was-
Before anyone gets hurt, because once it
Absolutely.
happens, it's too late.
Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely. And I think just for kind of investigative purposes, definitely talking to neighborhood watch folks on kind of that Montalani Heights side should certainly help, just because it is important
Yeah,
that
it's
the
a
culprit is
small
found.
area, and someone was seen
Yeah.
with a golf glove on.
Okay, got it.
So we're on our
And
way.
and then before you go, from a legal standpoint, for the folks who have suffered property damage to their property, they should definitely report it to their policy for either their homeowners
Yeah,
insurance.
that's another issue. One of
Yeah.
the ladies who filed for insurance said that if she puts in this claim, they're going to cancel her insurance.
Hmm.
So she's doing out of pocket.
Okay, got it.
So you know, there are repercussions to this.
Yeah.
One thing after another, but it's the bodily injury that I am most concerned about, because by then it's too late.
Mhm,
Get hit in the head with a golf ball. Mm-mm.
mhm. Absolutely. Okay, well, thank you for your work on this.
So I'm hoping, well, I'm not hoping, is if others are affected, that they could reach out to all of you, because it'll come up in your next newsletter, won't it?
Mhm.
At least they'll have a contact, or encourage them to file a report with HPD 911. They're really good. They
Uh-huh.
were very friendly and understanding about the situation. So I'm getting all riled up. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good.
I got a question, Yeah. There's a possibility. It could be somebody who lives down the valley hitting a ball too now. Okay. No, I'm just telling you there's a
If you'll
nothing.
take a look
Yeah.
at our properties, we're on a slight hill. The ball's got to come from up. There's no way someone can hit from down this way, especially being seen. 'cause
No,
they're-
this
that's
thing
what-
about him, a guy can hit the ball high. Can be your neighbor five houses away, and you can hit the ball over high and coming down. I just let you know that, so you gotta watch out on that too. Okay? Nobody hit the ball straight.
Anybody from Waimea Road can hit a ball over George's house. That's the top of our lane.
Okay.
It's coming from up. down.
Okay, whatever. Just telling you,
There, well, of course, there's anything's possible.
yeah.
Right. But even the colonel talked that same way too.
Yeah.
And Laurie has found a person that feels they know who is doing it.
Oh, they know who
Okay.
it is?
So,
Okay.
so it's a matter of just finding that person.
Thank you, Katie.
Okay,
Thank you. So Board Member Sharkey, your point is well taken. So we will gather more information. Yes. Okay. So next we are very welcome to have Nimue from the Center for Resilient Neighborhoods, who will be providing an update as well.
Aloha, everybody. Good evening, the board. No, I'm sorry. The chair, board members, neighborhood residents. Okay. My name is Nimue Patton. So sorry. Okay, I'm a student at Kapiolani Community College. I'm also a resilience core leader and researcher for the Center of Resilient Neighborhoods, Serene. We are a community-based research center located at Kapiolani Community College and work with the Department of Regional Planning at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. We're also working with the Honolulu Office of Climate Change, Sustainability, and Resiliency, and many other community partners across the island. We have been attending neighborhood board meetings island-wide since 2021, and I'm happy to be back to share an update on the Oahu Community Resilience Hub Network project, formerly known as Action 15 from the OLA Resilience Strategy. As far as the project update goes, we can share some links in the chat. By we, I mean me, and well, he's on the computer, so Christopher Pasqua, he's with me. That's the co-coordinator and my friend. He can share some links in the chat to make sure the board has copies. We have worked across all 8 sustainable planning regions and have identified over 156 possible hub locations on Oahu. To date, we have hosted over 200 engagement events, and of those, we had 16 region/neighborhood level workshops we put on with local partners and hosts. Our big update right now is that the final Resilience Hub Network report is now published and available on the city's website. Chris is going to send that link in the chat. We'll keep it brief for tonight, but we just wanted to come and share this report as a follow-up for our resilience workshops we have held in your neighborhood. We're happy to share a full, more comprehensive presentation of findings if you would like us to share at a later time. Mahalo nui for having me. If there's any questions, please feel free to send them in the chat, and Chris can help with that. We look forward to hearing from you soon, and mahalo again for your time.
Thank you, Nimue. Any questions from board members? Okay, thank you. I just have one. So we'd love to have you to see the full report at some point. Safety and emergency management is top of mind, especially for our board. So I know in previous board meetings, the issue of the outdoor siren system in Palolo was raised. So I don't know if this was included in your report, but you should know that the siren in Palolo currently doesn't work. So as far as hubs are concerned, that would be great, but there would be no way to notify Palolo Valley of an emergency with the current state of the facilities here. So I'd be happy to connect with you and Christopher to discuss further.
Okay, yeah, I'm a Palolo resident too, and I never even knew that. So that would be nice to have.
Yeah, we'll bring it up when our elected officials come up, so don't worry.
Okay.
You should stick around. But I see Christopher online with the hand raised. Do you have a
Hi, hello, aloha chair and neighborhood board. I just wanted to share a little bit of an update on what you were asking about um, the warning, emergency warning system. Um, Emergency alerting is actually more in DEM's wheelhouse. So we're actually planning to meet with them soon, and we're going to be coordinating our findings with their emergency plans, especially for Palolo. And that's been an ongoing concern that people have been raising island-wide, how to improve and update the alerting system. So we're going to have a guest presentation from DEM in these next couple months, and they're going to come, and we're going to work our findings into their emergency alert strategies and their plans. And once that's done, we would love to come back and share with you and get all that information to you. So I hope I'm coming through clear, but thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was clear. Okay, so we will move on to the next agenda item, presentations. So we are so very fortunate to have the Department of Parks and Recreation's Director Thielen here to present on some updates on the Palolo Valley District Park. And as she makes her way to the microphone, I will just share an event that the Neighborhood Board hosted in partnership with the Neighborhood Commission Office and the Department of Parks and Recreation on January 27. And I would especially like to thank board members Ige and Shiraki for joining, as well as board member McColgan, who was critical in helping to provide some free pickleball clinics to people in Palolo. So with that, I will let Director Thielen provide her presentation.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for inviting me here tonight, and folks from the audience, sorry if I have my back to you. And I want to thank Dori Amano Mitsui from my office, who also brought her husband on Valentine's night to help out today. So very dedicated staff. So we had been asked some questions about improvements at Palolo District Park. So we prepared some information that we gave to the board. You've got the first slide up there. But if you take a look at the second slide, here are the improvements that have been put into Palolo District Park over the last 6 years, dating back to 2017. I didn't go back farther than that. And I also want to thank Councilman Say, because he's been a big supporter of improvements to our park areas. I worked with when he was Speaker of the House, and I was at Department of Land and Natural Resources, and he's always been a big supporter of recreation spaces. And so it's wonderful to work with him again now. The Palolo Valley Gym, we put in about approximately $2 million in construction. We've also done about 2.2 million in ADA improvements, including the ramp down to the pool and the improvements to the pool bathroom and the other things that were part of that project. We've done a number of improvements to the infrastructure at Palolo Valley District Park, the backflow, the pool lighting, the district park roofing improvements, fire alarm improvements. These were all contracted out, and the funds, dollar figures we have here are the construction costs, not the design costs. So when you add in the design costs, it's significantly more. We've done a lot of work in-house too, through our staff at the Department of Parks and Recreation. We've contracted to resurface the basketball, volleyball, and tennis courts, and completed those in last September. Put in security fencing, replaced the ball field backstop and dugout fencing, and the pool lights. And then Dory's actually been leading our energy savings project, where we've been doing a lot of improvements at parks across the island to reduce electrical and water utility costs. But we've combined these projects to also provide capital improvement upgrades. So we get, 2 for 1, basically. So this is about a total of $6 million plus on construction costs. The gymnasium, the roof repairs that we've started now, we've discovered that the walls have some structural issues. So we're going to have to repair the structural issues to the walls and then come in and do the roof. So we're anticipating about another 2 to 2.5 million to complete that gym project, unfortunately. We've received a lot of requests for the lighting. for the outdoor courts. And we like to support every single park improvement project that we can, and we are glad that you folks are enjoying the outdoor courts. We were asked to give the cost figures for that because the council is going into budget. So we'll be presenting the administration budget in the beginning of March, and then the council is going to be deciding different projects. So there's some figures here on the estimated costs for the play court lighting. And I did take a look at them again tonight. I think these estimates, what they had for the typical lighting is a little low, because a lot of our construction costs are coming in higher now for various reasons. So the lighting for all the courts would run about 1.2 million on the low end, but I think it'd probably be safer to look at something like 1.6 million. We've prioritized completing the gymnasium because we know that that's really important for a lot of different athletic leagues that are utilizing that area. And so we're putting that into our budget priority. But we understand that you folks may work with council members to raise other projects in addition to that. And we look forward to seeing you participate in the budget process. And if I can answer any questions, I'd be happy to try and do so.
Thank you. I think before we take questions for you, I'm just going to ask if there's any community members wishing to testify on this, and then we'll direct questions to everyone who testifies. So at this time, is there any residents or community members who wish to testify on this topic? Okay, yes, please come to the mic.
Hello, everyone online and here. My name is Raynell, and I am a resident within the community of Palolo Valley, and just kindly requesting that we do pursue, and going through with making the lights happen outside of the basketball courts in the community. I love that you brought your information of what was done in the gym. I would love to see maybe a little bit more detail on it. I've grew up in the gym, in the park, as far as like being there my whole life, and unfortunately when it reopened, it just looked worse than it was before. We really, the community, I've reached out to the community, and we have over 200 plus signatures of residents within the community that is pleading for the lights to go on. Why? Because our sun goes down probably at about 6:30, pretty early, because we're kind of like in a shadow and kind of deep into the valley. And the courts is like, honestly, that park is all that the kids, especially from the low-income housing of Mutual and Palolo housing, that's all they have. They don't have cars or transportation or like to get outside of the valley. If they do, it's like we're talking about young kids, really young kids bringing their siblings to the park, trying to enjoy the park. And by the time they finish, do their chores at home, do their homework, whatever they have to do, and try and wind down after school programs as well. They get to the park and the sun is already going down. So they can't see. It raises, of course, like just different things of like their safety, trying to enjoy as a kid, playing in their community, but then at the same time getting hurt or something happening, who knows? I wanted to bring awareness and just hope that our voice is heard. I do have the paper petitions as well available, and via email as well. We did hand out and distribute the online surveys and that was, we had a huge response. I didn't get enough time, and if I was given more time, I definitely would have had easily well over 200 people trying to plead for the lights to go on. I personally can shuttle maybe about 20 to 30 kids to the Kaimuki Park, but that's not including everybody else that's left behind and other kids that I feel bad for that I can't take out because I'm going to be more responsible for more kids. The reason why too we're asking for the lights is because as community members, we can't even use the gym as much as we want to because it's being rented out or like used to outside organizations, clubs. So we barely have any free time inside the gym. When we do have that little window, it doesn't match up with the kids' free time. They're doing homework, they're, like I mentioned, whatever they are doing at school, after school, and then going home, walking home. Long story short, I've reached out to the Parks and Rec staff, asked them, when is our turn to go into the gym? Because we were trying to just simply play, but we continue to be pushed outside to the outside courts. So to see majority of the people that come into the valley and use our park, where we love it, we love seeing new people, but it's kind of disheartening to see so much more outsiders use our park than the residents themselves. So, and that goes with the pool as well. You folks probably pass by you can look at the pool from here. You see the lights are on. The lights are shining, and I feel like there's more focus in that pool than any other part of the park. It's great. It's a beautiful pool, but at the same time, they have strict rules. The kids can barely swim in that pool because they're so focused on lap swimming. No, lap swimming. You know, oh no, another school is coming. Oh, another club is coming. So it's like, as a resident, as a auntie, a lot of the kids in the community like to call me. It's really disheartening to see them like, oh, you know, pass by the park, pass by the pool, pass by the gym, watching all of these unknown faces come from outside the valley to use the resources that we should have as residents in the community. So that's, hopefully I covered what I could.
Thank you right now for those insights.
Yes.
Thank you.
Board Member Kawamoto, before we take questions, I'm just going to see if there's anyone else wishing to provide comments or testimony on that. Okay, yep. Please come to the mic.
Aloha. My name is Dahlia, and also a resident of the community. Kind of really top that off, you know, when you actually have people from the community trying to mentor our young ones and trying to keep them on track. But I also work for the for mutual housing at Palolo Home, and we're going to be going through some renovations as well and repainting the buildings, you know, lifting it up, giving, you know, renovating inside and outside just to maintain the building, right? An old building, but we'll be doing a lot of that and switching out some plumbing, lighting, and things. When I talk about this renovation that's happening, part of our plan in working with the contractors is to involve the community and to involve the residents that's participating with this renovation. And when I hear community voicing out their feelings of what they see where we live and not having a voice, it concerns me as well that part of that should be in the plans of renovation, government, you know, coming to residents or into the community, even to just drop a note or a flyer of what's going on. If the city and county has something or if they have plans or whatnot, you know, a lot of families are not up to par with everything online or the cell phones and stuff like that. They, you know, need to help each other in getting to the next step of communication. And me, I'm old school too. I like the personal phone calls and, you know, this and that. And I haven't been, you know, here, but, you know, I listen to what's happening. It's good to see the Palolo board going strong and, you know, bringing some of the concerns and trying to resolve some of these matters. But for sure, we'll get more involved. And it's kind of difficult, I think, uh, or maybe when families gotta, you know, get involved when it's really like at a panic mode, where we cannot talk about what's happening before, you know, people start voicing, oh, what's going on with our park? How come our park is the first to close and the last to open, and renovations not going on, and you know all this kind of things. It's taken away from one community that needs it the most. Why is that? You know, why we got to go Manoa or Kaimiki or whatnot when we have a beautiful park over here? And by involving the community, I think it'll help protect the park and take care of the park. If there was some kind of feeling or communication or relationship between what's happening with government or the changes that's going on with the people that actually live over here. That's all I need to say. Thank you folks so much for hearing me out. And
Thank you, Dahlia.
mahalo.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify on this topic? Yes, please come to the mic.
Sorry. Aloha board, aloha chair, aloha everybody online. I came specifically to talk about the lights, but I can go on a list of a lot of the challenges. I'm not going to say issues because really it's how we're going to come to a solution, right? And the solution really has to be focused on what the purpose of all of this is. And right now it's got to be back on our kids. Yeah. These lights, I mean, I'm a alumni of Palolo Elementary, Jarrett Middle School, and Kaimiki High School. I'm a former teacher at Kaimiki High School and a former football coach at Kaimiki High School. I was very active during the pandemic, doing a lot of work with Dahlia in the housing, really feeding our families and feeding the kupuna. And it really started a trend that kind of spread throughout the nation, which is something that Palolo should be proud of. And I got to meet Laura when she got into the office. And with all respect, Laura has the biggest department in the city and county. So I know her time is slammed. But the one thing that I do want to express is just transparency, you know, with the departments, not you guys at that level, but the parks. I've worked tirelessly over the last few years just with a lot of our programs, our sports programs. And the perception of sports is just an activity. The kids are running around, but the reality of sports is it's an opportunity that's just as important to educate our kids' character education as much as a classroom education. And so I'm a big I've been a big advocate for education, where we're educating the heart. And I, you know, and as I'm listening to Auntie's discussions about the golf balls, you know, again, like why do people do that? You know what I'm saying? So it really comes back down to character, and we can't really do too much about what's happening now, but manage what's happening now. But what we can do is shape the future by shaping our kids. And it starts with, you know, just the community coming together. And I think the transparency has been something that's been missing for such a long time. I work closely with Councilman Say and Representative Jackson Sayama as well. So we all have a lot of familiarities with just our love and our commitment to making sure that our kids are not being forgotten. You know, Palolo was one of the first parks that shut down in the pandemic, and the very last park, one of the last parks to open. And still today, challenges with our kids being able to go to the pool, going into the gym, and every single time I go and check, there's leagues going on, and I get it. I mean, sometimes we gotta, you know, we're renting it out and we're making income, and it's totally respectable. At the same time, you know, we got to remember why we're there, and we're there for these kids. And so the lights are important because, as Renelle was speaking about, you know, school has gotten super busy with homework. And so I've seen more homework in today's kids than homework that we had when we were in school. And so these kids, by the time they do get out of the house, it's already dark for them, you know, but it's also an opportunity for the adults that are working in these sports programs to really focus on character education, not just teaching the kids X's and O's of the game, but teaching these kids about respect, teaching these kids about leadership, teamwork, all of these, the missing elements of education that shapes us as character. You know, sports, we're not trying to make these kids go to college to be an athlete or to go to, you know, professional level. And that's the business that I'm a part of. But what we can use sports to do is set a firm foundation of character and heart in these kids. When, you know, when they get to high school, actually when they get to middle school, by the time they get to Jared, more than 50% of all of our kids drop sports. And one of the biggest reasons is really an experience with a coach, or there's all kinds of things that come on, you know, that impact these kids. But at the younger age, allowing this gym and this park to be a conduit, to be a vehicle to educate these kids, to be intentional. So that's the opportunity that I see, and that's more than enough of a reason for me personally to be an advocate, to speak on these lights. And what I do on the side too, I'm a part of an association that's really about athletics being an educational element in what's missing in education. And so I've been, you know, I travel and I speak to coaches, coaching association organizations across the country to talk about this element of intentional coaching, character education, and everything that's focused on developing character. You know, true identity is not your gender. True identity is your heart. It's your character. When these kids look at all of us, they don't see the color of your skin. They don't see what kind of person you look like. They see your heart. And that's what we got to remember. And it's when that gets crossed that things change. And so going back to education, these lights, this gym, this whole parks and recreation, and you know, this goes throughout the entire island. Because I work at KPT, I work with the KPT neighborhood and Marites and all of those guys, and similar issues, but very unique in its own. But these parks and recreations, I think, you know, if we can move forward together, you know, with transparency and ultimately even with the budget, just having more of an input with the communities. And I know that that's always a goal, but if we can be a lot more intentional about that, because it's great, all that money is great, but at the same time, I think some of that money, you know, could be more efficiently used in the right direction where it's meeting the needs. And then we can start to, you know, like the walls and stuff like that, the pool and everything. Our kids don't really use the pool much, but the parks and all that stuff. I mean, I just think that we can have a better opportunity to communicate together and just be in a positive light, because we kind of need that in a time like this. But thank you guys for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, David. Anyone else wishing to testify on this topic? Okay, so seeing none, I will turn to questions, and I would be remiss to say, reiterate again, thank you for being present to exercise your form of civic engagement and being here, especially, you know, Director Thielen. And I would like to thank personally your staff who did help put our event together on the 27th. I don't know if you heard, but it took mountains to make that happen. And I want to thank our neighborhood assistant, Logan, for helping with that as well. But Mark Koga, the Recreation Director for District 1, Catherine Cho, the Recreation District for Wailai Complex, and of course, Courtney Poti, who is the Recreation Director for our very own Palolo Valley District Park. So thank you to you and your staff for helping make that event possible. Board Member Kawamoto, did you have a question?
Thank you, Chair. And thank you to all the community that's come out to share their challenges with what's been happening with our parks. I remember, Renella, when we were over at, there was a time where we had the board meeting out in, yes, Kapalama. And what touched me about her, this conversation that we're having right now, is the same thing both of them have been, all the speakers have been talking about. It belongs to the community. It's our responsibility as a community. And more than that, it was the discussion of Ohana getting together at the park in the evening to practice Ohana, because that's where they have time that they can spend with one another. It's that one moment that they have free time. It's like what the young man was saying earlier about character and heart. And I completely felt that, and so did Colin and all our board, I believe that. But me and Colin kept trying to figure out why isn't this happening? It should happen. The other thing we thought about was, is there not private and public sector combinations that can occur to help get those lights paid for? I would think so. I've seen it in other neighborhoods on other islands. So when someone cares and they want to see, I mean, we're talking about the next generation and growing them up to where they need to be. If we can look at those things, we talked about solar companies, all kinds of things. So, if you have some ideas, Laura, and the state, I think that would be, they can't wait. Every day you could lose a child because of the fact that they give up. I'm listening to them say when they get to Jarrett, there's nothing there. And that's not acceptable either, because the programs need to continue to help build that next generation. So thank you, Chair and Board, for letting me say what I.
Thank you, Juanita, about that. I was asked to come here to talk about the construction, but I agree with all of you that parks are a heart of the community. It's a gathering place, and it's a safe space for a lot of activities to take place. And it's also, thank you for the work that you do with the keiki. We also are working a lot on the programs in our park department. I live in Waimanalo, our deputy's in Nanakuli, but I brought her in from Kamehameha School. She was in the community-based education program. And so we took a lot of the federal COVID money and we put it into our recreation programs. And we've been doing staff training, and we've been focused very much on the outcomes-based programs. Health and wellness, leadership, and sense of place are the three areas that we're focused on with the youth. And we are trying to rebuild back up our summer fun program, but also focus on the junior leaders and the young adults that come to work for us. We've created a new park board, and we deliberately ask people that run programs for young adults to be on the board. So John Leong of Pupu, Carla Hauser, who deals with homeless youth, RISE, Katie Chang, who set up Center for Tomorrow's Leaders in the Department of Education. We also have a kapuna from the UH Center on Aging, Christy Nishita, and we've asked them to help us strengthen the programs that we provide for the kapuna and the keiki in the community, because we know that parks are a lot more than just the facilities. It's also the programming and the help that they can provide when people do come to gather in that area to build up the strength in the community. So we're doing a lot of work on those things as well. I would dearly love to have hundreds of millions of dollars to put into our parks, because there is so many improvements that they need and that people deserve. But there's so much money to go around. And so we're trying to do the best we can. We are working with the private sector, and where there are donors or people that are willing to, we will sit down with them and we will gladly work with them. They can either donate the funds for the project, or what we're finding might be quicker is they can do the project, and then we can accept a completed project as a gift. So we have had a donor help us with the skate park on the windward side. We're working with some other people now for Waimanalo. We're working with the YMCA for one of our downtown parks, and now with an organization out in Kahuku. So if there's any that you are aware of that want to do a donation to parks, please send them our way, and we will find ways for them to be useful.
You any other board members with questions? I have a few. My first is for one of the community members who testified, but specifically right now. So it was mentioned that you attended a board meeting earlier. Board member Kawamoto mentioned. So I'm just curious, what is your history advocating for this project, and what progress has been made as a result of that?
Hello again. So I've been advocating this for over a year now, and I hope I'm not going to ramble, but it kind of, sometimes when you try and focus on one thing, you kind of get tugged different ways. So I was focusing on the basketball court lights and then also on the gym usage. But like I mentioned before, we were getting pushed out of the gym because because of limited time and staff inside of the gym. So this kind of was over a year now. And when I tried to reach out to different offices, including Calvin Say and I'm so sorry, I forgot who I emailed, but it kind of made me feel like it wasn't going to be in the budget. It also there was just no action on it. Delayed responses and kind of pushed back as far as we already did the budget. It's not in the budget. You're gonna have to continue to try again and kind of just left at that. So did I answer your question?
Mhm. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Renelle.
Have any questions? Yeah. While I'm here.
And actually, so this is partly for Renelle and partly for Director Thielen. You know, kind of just my experience at the park, and really, if you just look at the layout, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, really the main priority is to get the lights up on the basketball court, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, because
For me, yes.
yeah,
We-
absolutely. Yeah. I'm sorry, go on.
Sorry. Because the softball field, baseball field has lights as well. I'm not sure 100% about the usage for that one. We
Mhm.
just kind of accept it the way it is. When it goes out, we just kind of go off the field and move to the basketball court.
Yeah.
But the basketball court, it's because honestly, the gym needs so much work. So I don't know when that's going to be done.
Yeah.
And so if we were to close down the gym, then we would still be left outside with no lights. So that's why I'm kind of like, the gym is open, but we still can't use it because there's so much outside clubs and organizations that consume most of the gym time.
Mhm.
And I heard also that they're really short on staffing issues for that. So the free time is very minimum. So it's like kind of scary to request to fix the gym. And who knows how many years that took if it took us so long to reopen from COVID.
Mhm.
Hopefully. And that was the other thing. When we try to reopen for COVID, from COVID, it was like hoops and hurdles and we were waiting for a door to be fixed at the gym, I believe. The locks were broken or something.
Mhm.
So they did an awesome job in responding and getting that done. And then all of a sudden, boom, the gym was open.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yes, that's why I'm kind of pushing for the lights because I feel like that's a little bit more faster, easier fix that
Mhm.
could do so much wonders for the whole community.
Yeah. And yeah, and as a community member of the neighborhood board and kind of had seen a lot of these like public sports programs, it really does seem like the basketball court is the most like central part of the park. I frankly, I haven't seen too many people use the tennis courts or even the volleyball court. So if there is like a urgency and if we were to get the lights put up in one place and just looking at it simply based on geography, like it's so central in Palolo District Park. I think the rush, the urgency would be getting the lights up on the basketball court and then hopefully getting everything else up. But that just my experience. That was my general understanding too.
Yes. The gym lights around the gym, outside of the gym, are pretty dim. Like I mentioned, if you look, you can see the pool easily. That's not football field lights. I mean, that's literally football. It looked like football field lights for a pool, but you can easily see it. You would assume that's a football field, that it's light shining on, but it's a pool. And I just wish that we had some of those lights just right there on the basketball court. We see pickleball as a new trend. We see so much outsiders come in just to play pickleball, but they're packing up already like at 4:30. 4:30. That's literally when the kids are still trying to come back outside of the house from doing their homework or chores. And they're already packing up. So that's how much we need the lights. Yes.
Thank you, Renelle.
Thank you.
Board Member Turbin. Any other questions from board members? Okay, I have a few. Oh, go ahead, board member. Member Kawamoto.
Hello? Okay. So I guess I want to know if someone can tell us that timeline that we're talking about, that the basketball courts, when the lights go on and when the lights go off, because it sounds like there's a issue about trying to share time or excess of other people using, or, and I'm concerned about the 4:30 time, where we're saying kids that could be down there utilizing the park with family, but they can't get to it because what's going on.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. I hope I didn't confuse anyone. There's no lights outside on the pickleball and basketball court. It's kind of in the same area. It's like a tennis court right next to the playgrounds. But people from in the community, maybe, well, I'm not familiar with all of their faces, but I'm at the park almost every day and there's new faces. And they start playing pickleball at about 1 or 2, and then they pack up at 4:30 because they know that the lights are, I mean, it's going to get dark.
So how long has there been no lights?
Over 10 years.
10 years, no lights for the basketball court.
15 years specifically.
15 years?
Yeah, so page 2 of our presentation, it does say that they were removed in 2009. So if you don't mind, this brings me to my first question for Director Thielen. So they were removed for safety reasons. Can you elaborate on that?
I cannot. I was not here at the time, so I don't have the details on the removing. I do know we have other poles, they age out where the poles are structurally not sound, and the foundations. So in some cases, we've had to remove lights. But I don't know if that was a situation in this case.
Okay, so I have an email from Deputy Director who said that, I'll just read verbatim. The outdoor court lights at Palolo District Park were removed about 15 years ago due to deterioration. At the time, one of the light poles fell down, and after an assessment, all the poles needed to be removed to ensure public safety. So I read that to mean a lack of maintenance or negligence, which resulted in deterioration and ultimately all the lights being removed.
So it's not negligence, it's deterioration over time, because in a lot of our parks, these facilities were built many, many years ago. So the department manages 305 parks across the entire island. So there is a lot of infrastructure that we need to manage and take care of. We are given a certain budget each year for capital improvement projects, and the Department of Design and Construction manages those capital improvement projects for us. So that's how the city, maintains them. What we do is we rotate around and try to fix as many places as we can. When Mayor Blangiardi came in about 3 years ago and I was brought in, we started looking at the department about doing some repair and maintenance differently. So we've set up a series of what I'm calling master agreements, where we do not have to go out and bid every time. It allows us to contract work more quickly, but these tend to be smaller, large repair and maintenance, but not considered capital improvements. We manage those in-house. We do not go to the Department of Design and Construction. So we can use these master agreements. We've been resurfacing hundreds of outdoor courts. We've been replacing backstops with our fencing contract. We're starting roofing contracts to do a number of jobs there. The one trade our department does not have is electrical. So we rely on the Department of Design and Construction to handle the electrical work through the capital improvement budget. Because we don't have people on staff and we cannot manage the large scale projects. And Board Member Turbin, I appreciate you're focused on thinking maybe if we looked at one court for lights instead of all three, it might be something we could get faster. And that's possible. I'll go back and talk with the Department of Design and Construction about that. And you should certainly talk with the council member about it. But I have a feeling it's possible that once when you go in and you do design and you've got the courts that are lined up and you're going to bring the utilities there and you're going to stage the contractors to come, the added cost of doing the 2 additional courts is relatively minor. And so I think the approach would be just go in and do all 3 areas at one time. But I'll raise it with the Department of Design and Construction, and you guys should raise it with your council member as well. Yeah.
Okay, so I am acutely aware of the financial constraints that the state is under right now.
City, sir. Sorry, excuse me.
Right. I'm just talking about our state as a whole, let alone our city, sure. But would you say it's normal then for a park to go without lights for more than 15 years?
Unfortunately, it is not unusual.
Is it
across
maybe
the
is it
island.
acceptable?
Of course, like I told you, I would love to have several $100 million and a team of engineers and an ability to fix all of these places at one time. But the city and county has a lot of obligations, and the council, when it's weighing the budget decisions and figuring out what it could do, people don't want to increase property taxes, and so we have to stay within a ceiling, and that's the reality. So we try to do the most repairs that we can. And we've been focused over the last 3 years in getting a lot of large repair and maintenance done in a new way.
Part of this presentation request was to provide a summary of the Let's Meet at the Park initiative.
Mhm.
Are you prepared to talk on that? Because I don't see slides in your presentation.
I do not have slides on the presentation. I brought a copy of the press release that we put out, and I can leave a copy with you folks. But what we did do is we took some of the, we put in an application for the federal COVID relief funds. Our original proposal was to redo all the backstops, but that was going to be about $5 million or so. So what we ended up getting was less than that. And so we did a project to replace benches and tables at a number of parks. And we focused on the communities that were eligible for what's called a community development block grant. So these are communities where the federal government has identified them. They're different from Title I communities, but they're communities that are similarly, kind of in a little bit straitened situation. And we focused a lot on parks where there were not improvements. So we have the listing of the parks. It is in alphabetical order, not by region. So I can leave you with the list, but it was about 64 different parks. Palolo District Park was not on the list.
Yeah, would you say it's safe to characterize that those funds were meant to benefit low-income communities?
Well, they did, and they benefited many low-income communities across the island.
But not Palolo.
Palolo was not one of the 64, no.
Are you able to tell me how many parks and benches there are at the Palolo Valley District Park?
I do not know, but I know that we have a need at all of our parks for additional seating because there's a shortage of benches and tables at just about every single one.
I think the point I'm trying to make is that there has been a clear lack of support for Palolo, even when monies has been earmarked for communities with low income.
Chair, I disagree with you. We gave you the information about the funding that's gone in just on the construction. If you add the design into that, that's significantly more than the vast majority of parks any individual park on this island has received, with the possible exception of Ala Moana Beach Park. We've invested a significant amount of money here. This mayor inherited a tremendous backlog of deferred repair and maintenance, and we are tackling it as best we can. The capital improvement projects take a lot longer than anybody would want, and they're a lot more expensive than anybody would want. But we're trying to couple that with a lot of in-house work that we can do, and we're trying to make improvements as at many parks as we can. But I do not agree with you that Palolo has been overlooked. We have invested a lot. It deserves a lot more. Every community on Oahu on their parks deserve a lot more investment, and we are trying to get to as many of them as we can. I am concerned about the issue that was raised tonight about the permitting of the facilities. And so I've asked for some contact information because there are ways that we can address those needs. We don't rent facilities to raise revenue. We don't get money from permits. The leagues that go in are also generally serving, we tend to favor youth, PAL leagues and things like that. But I will go back and get some information on the gym schedule and would like to get back to you on that and get some ideas on the times and areas that you would need. And we are working to schedule our gyms differently in the future where we can have a more transparent process, because I understand people are not happy with that and the way they're scheduled now, and I agree, and we would like to change that.
Thank you. I have 2 more questions. So we asked you to present in our December meeting. Unfortunately, the schedules did not line up, but you did assure that that presenting in our February meeting would be perfect timing for board members to kick off any engagement in the capital budget process. So what did you mean by that?
So what happens is our budget proposal was already completed by December and gone in through the administrative process, but the mayor proposes a budget. That proposed budget goes to the city council. The city council is the legislative body, and they're the body that will decide the final budget. So council will be scheduling budget briefings with all of the city departments the second week of March, I think it is. And then at that point in March, the council will be going through their individual budget hearings. They'll be getting requests from communities for various programs, improvements, and other things. And the council members will be the ones that make the final decision about what goes into the budget. So the budget hearings will run from mid-March, and then the final budget will come out probably the end of May. And then that will be the budget that would apply for July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025.
Okay, so my last question. Is the Blangiardi administration making any attempts to amend the budget to include funding for the outdoor court lighting?
We don't amend the budget. It's the council that amends the budget. So
Has the budget bill been introduced?
the budget bill is going into the council, and what we have is working on completing the gymnasium project as a priority.
So I will rephrase the question. Because the budget bill has not yet been introduced to the council, before submitting it to the council for introduction, is the Blangiardi administration planning to include outdoor court lighting funding?
No, the budget, our administration budget was finalized. What we sent in was finalized back before December. And so they have to go through the balancing, and it's closed at this point. It's entered into the system and going over to the council. So the discussion on any amendments is done by the council.
Okay, then I guess I have a question for Councilmember Say.
Hi, Chair. This is Janelle from Councilmember Say's office. Yes, we do have it on our list of amendments that we're going to be adding once it hits the council, which I believe is on or by March 2nd.
Thank you for that confirmation. Can you confirm whether or not the bill has been introduced by council?
No, so the administration, each department sends their budget in to the mayor, and the budget and fiscal services department reviews it, makes sure it's balanced. They have to introduce a balanced budget to us. So that's why director was saying that her department had already sent in her final budget. That's going to come into the council on or before March 2nd. And then March through June, the council will be discussing and deliberating the budget amendments.
Okay, so in short, you can verify what Director Thielen is saying?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Board Member Shiraki.
You know, you can you hear me? You know, your department is not treating our valley the right way. You know, it's too long already. You know, you guys taking for fix our lights and everything. We just like we second-class citizen. Okay, that's what the people are getting mad about. Okay, the light they was booking for that long already. It's not right. You got to do something. No good thing you're gonna make something kahala. Okay, we are same like everybody else. Okay, So you're taking too long and excuses not to fix our parks. Okay, you talk that to your department head.
Any questions from board members? Okay, I'll just be sending a follow-up for the list of parks that have not had outdoor court lighting after being removed since 2009. And we'll get that answer in writing. Okay, so board members, oh, I'm sorry, board member Kawamoto.
So if, I'd love to work with our members who are out there, and others to come check back with the, whatever works for you, a time. I think we need to talk story more about what we can do, understand more, because if the opportunity for what we're talking about, that government can get involved, but private sector can too, they hear this story, they might reach out and help. So that's why I was talking with Chair. It's not, it's all of us. So I really want to try and see if, if you come to the meetings or you send us emails or so forth, tell us what's happening. We can continue to maybe brainstorm together a better way to get this done. Mahalo.
Thank you, Member Kawamoto. Yeah, so on that note, I really do want to thank everyone for coming, Director Thielen and community members. So board members, I'm gonna move to agenda item 5B. This is action item on the resolution tied to the presentation that was just provided. Yeah. So this resolution was emailed to the board members either on Sunday or Monday. The title is urging the Blangiardi administration to include funding for outdoor court lighting and other improvements at Palolo Valley District Park in the capital budget bill for 2024. Board members, do we have a motion? Thank you, Member Turbin.
Motion.
Thank you.
I second the motion.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Mao. The motion has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay.
Call for the question.
So the motion to adopt the resolution urging the Blangiardi administration to include funding for outdoor court lighting and other improvements at Palolo Valley District Park in the capital budget bill for 2024 was moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, I will turn to Neighborhood Assistant Logan to take the roll call for the vote.
Okay, I will conduct the roll call.
I'm sorry, is there a question online? Vice Chair Mao, you're good?
We're good, ready to vote.
Okay.
Pack. You're unmuted, Randy.
You're muted.
Yes, yes.
Ige. Kawamoto. Mao.
Yes.
McColgan. Nakayama. Onishi. Shiraki. Turbin.
Yeah.
Peros.
Yes.
The motion is adopted with 9 ayes, no noes, and no abstentions.
Okay, thank you, board members. Okay, so I will move back in the agenda to agenda item 5A, filling of vacancies. So we clearly have some very active and dedicated community members here. Anyone wishing to fill a vacancy in either sub-district 2, 3, or 4. If you are at all interested, we will recess right now to see if you fall within those lines. We wouldn't need a recess. Anyone interested in filling a vacancy? There is only, the only sub-district that is filled is sub-district 1, which is kind of deep in the valley. Mauka of Carlos Long, and I think Mauka of Waiomao, I believe. Subdistrict 2 is open. There's a vacancy.
Do we need your address?
Yeah, so just to confirm your address, if you just have a picture ID or recent billing statement, I can confirm your address.
We need that.
Anyone online wishing to fill a vacancy? Okay, right now, you're interested in filling a vacancy? Okay, great. So procedurally, we're going to give you some time now to introduce yourself to the board. There will then be a motion made to accept you to the board. We'll take a vote on that, and then the filling of this vacancy would happen immediately. So at this time, I would like to welcome you up to the microphone. You have a minute to say whatever you would like to say.
Thank you for having me. My name is Raynell. I do live in Palolo Valley. And just very curious about how I can help. I only do what comes from my heart, which is in the community, for the kids, for our community, for our people. But being here and being a part of trying to impact our community by simply, well, not simple, but, you know, trying to get some lights on, it just kind of is making me more curious about how else I can help on a bigger scale than versus just within my street.
Thank you right now. Before a motion is made, any questions from board members?
Chair Frost, Chair
Hi.
Farrows. What sub-district is Renell in?
2.
Oh, sub-district
District
2.
2. Yes.
Okay. Just to let you know that if they don't go to the microphone, those of us online cannot hear any discussions.
Thanks, Vice Chair.
Thank
We'll
you.
make a note. Okay, so I had the pleasure of meeting Renell at the event on January 27. And like I said, or like Renell said, she is so rooted in the community that just in that short time frame, over 200 signatures were collected for this initiative. So do we have a motion?
I move
Nomination.
that we accept Ranel to be a part of our neighborhood board representing sub-district 2.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Seeing no other nominations, I'll close the nomination period and move to the neighborhood assistant to take the vote.
Sorry, I didn't get your last name.
Asuenga.
Asuega. Okay. I know it's silly. There's only one person being nominated, but if you guys wouldn't mind saying her last name, Asuega, when I call. The motion or the nomination is for Raynell Asuega to fill the Subdistrict 2 vacancy. Hack? You're muted, Randy.
Okay.
Let's see. I for Asuega.
Ige. Kawamoto. Mao.
I for Asuega.
McColgan. Nakayama. Onishi. Shiraki. Turbin. Peros. Yep, nine votes for Asuega.
Congratulations to our newest board member. Woo! Okay, so we'll take a recess. You'll take the oath of, is it called an oath of office? And then effective immediately, you'll join us up here.
Awesome. I just want to say thank you for having me, us, all of us. And congratulations to Kamiki High School. We won OIA basketball championship.
Oh,
Great.
I left at 4 minutes just to make this meeting
Thank you.
in the last quarter, but they're in our community, so just wanted to share that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, recess.
I'm going to leave. Sorry about that.
Okay, yeah, I got it. Yeah, where is, I gotta.
Okay, board member Asuega, please join us at the board.
We'll have to.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, members, so that was 5A. We did 5B. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you ready? Oh, okay, calling the meeting back to order. Okay, so we would like to welcome our newest board member, Raynell Asuega. Thank you for finding it in your heart to serve the community. Okay, so board members, that was agenda item 5A. We did 5B. I'm gonna defer 5C So this is related to the presentation that was given last time about the $50,000 for the Trees for Palolo initiative. So I'm gonna re-agendize this once a decision on that grant has been made. Agenda item 5D, approval of regular meeting written summaries for video recording from our November and December meeting. So these minutes are actually in the packet that you have in your agenda and should have been distributed to you online. So do we have a motion to approve both meetings?
Chair Peros, I move to accept the minutes of the November and the December meeting for Palolo Neighborhood Board number 6.
Thank you, Vice Chair Mao. Okay, the motion to approve the minutes for November and December have been moved and seconded. What do we have to do? Any discussion? Okay, anyone oppose? Oh, or you have a question? Okay, Board Member Shiraki.
Our minutes should be written on the board. Again, not go back on the line and look at the stuff of what we said, okay? It's common sense. Okay. So I cannot say that. Like everything else. If Mr. Shiraki said today, no recollection, I want to say that. I cannot go look at stuff and see what I said. Okay.
Okay. So the minutes are actually produced by us. So if a board member wishes to see any amendments made in the minutes, then you are free to do that. But hearing your concern, are there any other members wishing to discuss this motion? Anyone object? Okay, seeing none, the motion is passed. We will move on to our reports from elected officials. Okay, so 6A is for Congressman Ed Case, and typically we will just skip over this. I'm not sure what came over them this month, but I actually got an email from Jacqueline Ponent, who informed us that Congressman was unable to attend, but they did give us a report. So I will put that in our shared drive for members and the community to access. Okay. Next, Councilmember Say, and at this time, I would like to thank you for also joining us on the January 27 event and for your work in securing some of the funds that Director Thielen mentioned in her presentation.
Aloha. This is Polani from Councilmember Say's office. He apologizes he couldn't attend the meeting tonight, but he is very happy to participate with anything for Palolo. I just wanted to give you guys the report for the month of February. So you can find our monthly newsletter available. It's in the chat at our website for February. Some quick announcements. Pahoa Ridge Resolution 12.9 was adopted in January 24 of 24. The Waiomau Road, the latest update is that the Department of Transportation Services is still awaiting the speed study on Waiomau Road. As soon as we get the data, they're going to compile it for traffic analysis, and the results should be hopefully no later than July 2024. We appreciate your patience and understanding. Another announcement is please vote for our Honolulu Zoo. Right now, the Honolulu Zoo is receiving its first ever nomination as a candidate for the best zoo in America in 2024. Today, or USA Today's 10 Best Readers' Choice Awards. So remember to vote. The link is in the chat, and you can vote, I believe, up to 3 times a day. So you can vote, I think it's every 7 to 10 hours. All right. Let's see. There's other website links in the chat as well. That I put in this. I put in the system. And let's see. If I think at this point, this is all I have. If there's any questions or concerns, please let me know, and I can forward it to boss.
Thank you, Pua. Questions from board members? Questions from the community?
Aloha Pua, mahalo for all you do. So
Mahalo, cousin.
Thank you. Thank you, Pua. You, oh, Member Shiraki.
Coming to say that make sure within his power that make sure our fire alarm in our valley is working.
Okay. Fire
Thank you.
alarm in the town is working. Okay. Mahalo.
Thank you, Member Shiraki.
That's the siren, right? Yeah. It's the siren that's been down for way too long. Mahalo.
Okay. So I know that I believe that is a state concern, but I can still put it down for boss to look into.
Thank you,
Mahalo.
Paul.
Mhm.
So just relating to Director Thielen's presentation, Janelle mentioned council members say pursuing an amendment to include funding for the outdoor court lighting. So happy to work with you and collaborate in whatever way possible for the neighborhood board. Thank you. Okay, moving on.
Mahalo.
Report from Mayor Blangiardi. So unfortunately, Deputy Director Mamizuka could not be here in person. Yes, could not be here, period. We'll put the report online for the public to view. Okay, next, Governor Green's representative. So Ryan will no longer be joining us, but today, yes.
Good evening and aloha, Chair, board members, community members. My name is Kiele Amundsen. I'm a representative of the governor's office. I don't have anything significant. This is my first night attending your neighborhood board meeting, but I will draw your attention to the governor's newsletter, which is a mechanism to put out important news or updates. I will provide a copy to Chair so that he can put that on the shared drive for all of your review. Pending any questions, that's my report.
Thank you. Questions from board members? Yep, Member Shiraki.
The governor check all of fire alarm stations in our state. Yeah. We about what I mean, make sure they're all working. You're supposed to make actually a monthly test every month. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Member Shiraki.
Thank you.
So you may be aware of this, but there was a $5 million appropriation to Haima for the maintenance and repairs of sirens statewide. It was brought to our attention at least as early as or as late as our December board meeting that the siren in Palolo was not working. So look forward to working with you to address that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Representative Sayama, thank you for joining us at our event on January 27. Happy to hear your report.
Aloha, board members and chair. Good evening and happy Valentine's Day. Yeah, no, I was happy to be there to support the neighborhood board and the intent of the event itself. It's great to see the community come out as well as many stakeholders from the city and county of Honolulu. Looking forward to helping the board and the community in any way in this project. I do want to circle back with the sirens though. I did get a response from Haima that they are working on, they do have a work order out for the repair of the siren in Palolo Valley. There was something wrong with the solar panels, it seems. And so they expect this work to be completed by the end of the year. Again, I think the situation is still ongoing, so I'll keep the neighborhood board updated with any changes to the time schedule for this. But again, it is being worked on by Haima, and I appreciate the board's and community's patience as this contract is completed. Now, returning to, I think what you had requested in the email to speak about the legislative session as well as maybe some legislation pertaining to the Valley. Fortunately, my two priority bills relating to mandatory moped insurance, as well as the special fund for pharmacists are still alive and well, and have received overwhelming support. And so we expect those two measures to be passed through. We are also working on a measure that I introduced about mediation for renters, so that the process for mediation is easier and more streamlined, like it was in the pandemic. We just want to put that process into statute for post-pandemic situations. Other than that, there are still a number of legislative considerations going through the House and Senate simultaneously. It is still fairly early in the process, so I expect there will be a number of deferrals that will happen that will be killing legislative measures in the next few weeks to a month, and we'll see what comes out of that process. Nothing a whole lot, I think. Oh yes, we have been working with the City and County of Honolulu on a riser for speeding on 10th Avenue. And so they are currently doing that speeding report or study. That should be completed. Well, they got back to us in January and they said it'd take about 6 months. So, we'll expect something maybe in July, and I could update the board on any progress on that front. With that, I'm open to questions from the board.
Thank you, Representative Sayama. Questions from board members? Member Shiraki.
Okay, Jackson.
Yes.
About the fire alarm. You say they're gonna take so long. I'll let you get on their backs now. Because the stuff here wasn't working for so long already. And if we get some kind of emergency stuff, they just taking the thing that is not important, okay? So you gotta be on their back now. Make sure they're working
Yes,
faster
will
than
do.
what they think they are. Okay? Because the only thing you only talk to, you know what I mean? They're not doing nothing. Okay, another thing too now is that make sure you don't vote for a kind of recreational marijuana now. Those they made the first kind already reading. And you know that it's not good for nobody. Okay. They think they're gonna make money, but it's not good for nobody. Because you can get people that doesn't smoke marijuana, yeah, and if it's legal, they're gonna do that. You don't know what kind of trouble they're gonna make. Okay. So it's no good. It's not a kind. And another stuff, you're talking about 10th Avenue. What kind of stuff they're going to get?
No,
For speed.
They're doing a speeding study to determine if there are any changes necessary to 10th Avenue. So putting in those speed tables, or I don't know, putting in a traffic light at an intersection. They're just trying to figure out what recommendations are necessary to address the speeding issue.
Jackson, because I talked to the police officers. Every time I want to go down 10th Avenue, I go down 25, whatever. And then you get guys tailgating, you know what I mean? And that really gets me mad. But the one that really gets me mad when the guy overtakes me. I toot my horn. I really want to change it because the police officer told me, take that number down and then you can check the guy. But I don't want to do that to nobody. Okay?
Sure.
So it had happened to me 3 times already. We're coming down. I come in on 25, 27, 28 miles an hour, and that guy overtaking me, just speed and just overtaking. That's very dangerous. And I sure would like to talk to the guy, you know what I mean? Or what he doing that for. Okay, Jackson?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Earl.
Thank you, Member Shiraki. Any other questions from board members?
Yeah.
Hey, Representative Sayama, it's Darlene.
Hi, Darlene. Nice to see you.
I just have 2 comments. One is because the sirens are inoperable at this time, has
Yes.
anybody taken the opportunity to notify the neighborhood that we need to really pay attention, and what would that alternate process be to notify the people of Palolo if there is an emergency?
Okay. I don't know if there has been some kind of notice that's been sent out from HIEMA. I understand from Haima's communications that there are alternative means of notifying residents about an emergency. I think you might have heard some through your phones, televisions, as well as radios. But I could definitely include some information in my newsletter that goes out to the district. I can't say if Haima does that kind of service to notify the community. But yeah, I could definitely put that in my newsletter.
That would be great. That would be a great start. And then I wanted to congratulate the Asuegas. We've been wanting to get an Asuega on the board for so long. And I'm just kind of disappointed that it wasn't Dahlia. Congratulations. We are so happy to have you join the board and participate and help us make the community a better place. So congratulations.
Okay, any other questions from board members?
Yes, I have a question. So, are there not emergency funds when it comes to something as important as a siren, especially after what's been going on with Lahaina? And I would think right now with FEMA and all of these groups out there looking at it, is there anything, if you can try to keep us updated, that would be super, because then, we can go ahead and rally to get more support. But I would think there must be some kind of funding for that. So we got to think outside the box and not just wait, like Earl said. We got to go out there and make noise. And I agree with him 100%. So if we can maybe have maybe your office or other legislators who are aware that there's funding someplace for things like this, because it's a big concern. I can't even imagine if a fire like that happened and people didn't know that was going on. That would be tragic. So we just got to step it up. Thank you, Jackson. Aloha.
Thank you. Yes, we do have I guess, what is known as the rainy day fund for emergency appropriations. I think the issue with fixing these sirens is not a concern of money, because there's more than enough money for it. It's a matter of manpower. Haima does not have many engineers to actually go out and repair all of these sirens across the state. And so there is I guess, a waiting list, right, of sirens that need to be repaired, and Palolo is in that list. But they just are short staffed. And so again, not an issue of money. The legislature is more than happy to appropriate money for emergency infrastructure like that, but it's about manpower.
So the manpower is a contractor coming in to do the work, or what do we mean by manpower?
So yes, for I think the repair of emergency infrastructures, there are only so many licensed contractors to do the work. For the Palolo Valley siren, I believe the contract is for Hawaii E-Pro. And again, it's going to commence before the end of the year, at least scheduled to. So Haima has consistently written in testimony and in our hearings that they've been at, like they simply don't have the technical expertise necessary to address all of the broken down sirens across the state. Just to give you some context to within our neighborhood, there's not only Palolo Valley, but also Wilhelmina Rise. Their siren has been completely out of service. And so that one is further down the list of priorities, because that siren is so broken down that they're considering, needing to replace it entirely or relocate it somewhere. The Palolo Valley siren is not that damaged, and so it's further up the list of priorities.
Thank you, Member Kawamoto. Member Nakayama.
Just one more thing I wanted to bring to your attention, Representative Sayama, and is in regards to property insurance. I
Yes.
don't know if you're aware, but there are many people like our organizations and facilities that are getting non-renewals for our property insurance. And so we're having to search elsewhere to get property insurance, and we believe that it's going to be increased by a large amount. So if there's any safeguards that you and maybe the legislators can help us property owners with getting our insurance renewals at a reasonable price. Thank you.
Yes, so that's a really great concern, and it's a huge concern for my committee in Consumer Protection and Commerce. After the Maui wildfires, the reinsurance market has really reassessed Hawaii as a bigger risk than it was before for wildfires and other natural disasters. And so that has been a driving factor as to why you see insurance premiums going up on property. This is particularly true for condominiums because for a number of reasons, but condominiums especially are at risk of seeing a higher premium than before. What the legislature is doing to address this is we are planning on reactivating the Hawaii Hurricane Relief Fund to address the high premiums for hurricane coverage on properties. We're also expanding the capacities for Hawaii Property Insurance Association. This is the last resort market for property insurance in Hawaii. So even if the private market doesn't offer insurance coverage for your property, you will always find HPIA available to provide that coverage. I can't guarantee that it will be at what you might consider a reasonable price. It's going to be expensive because it's the last resort market. That's what we're doing short term to address this. Long term, we're investing a lot in the Department of Land and Natural Resources to mitigate a lot of the fire risks that is driving up the premiums for insurance. And so by doing that, we hope in the long term to reduce the cost of property insurance by reducing the risk of wildfires.
Thank you, Representative. Member Sharkey?
Jackson, don't take the answers from them. They said, take so long for them. It's over months and years on the fire alarm, okay? So push them, okay? It can be fixed, okay? You just gonna put a new one on top there. That's all it is. You get a pull line man, pull them up. The rest is only the line going through and the switch that they get in City Hall or whatever. Okay? Never mind taking all excuse now, Jackson. Okay?
Thank you,
No
Member
worry,
Sharkey.
We'll
We'll be
I'll
sure to
keep
work
on him.
with
I'll
Representative
keep on
Sayama.
him.
Okay, Jackson, okay?
Okay, just because it is obviously a concern for our board, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So to Member Kawamoto's point, there is actually a major disaster fund that has about $200 million in it that can only be accessed when the governor declares an emergency. So for those funds, that bucket of funds and any money coming in from FEMA, there are very specific allowable expenses, and they're pretty much directly related to Maui. So those kinds of funds would not be available, but there was an appropriation last year for $5 million specifically for maintenance of the siren system statewide. And I don't know if Representative Sayama can confirm this. We'll take this offline, but that may be the funds that HAIMA is tapping into to do the repairs.
So I guess maybe I'll have that question for Senator Ihara as far as that 200 million you're saying that they declare that there's a certain qualification for them to go ahead and utilize that money to help set up things like what we need help with, which are sirens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so we could work with our neighboring Kaimuki board to, possibly solicit an emergency proclamation on sirens because it clearly is an issue that extends beyond our valley. So
I agree.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. On that note, I did get a timeline from HAIMA, which was different from Representative Sayama. I will share it after I maybe hear the update from Senator Ihara. So thank you, Representative. I'll turn it now to the report for Senator Ihara.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm well, first want to say that you're Palolo's fortunate that we have a almost senior staff from Ways and Means in the Senate as your board chair. So you have an in-house expert. So you don't have any problems anymore in terms of understanding the process and whatnot. And because of that, I passed out and usually this is very rare that we do this because, but anyway, this is the Palolo related capital improvement projects. They're all funded. Historically, Palolo has always gotten what we needed. We don't have much facilities in the valley, but schools, and we don't have a library. We have the rec center, but that's county. We have had grant needs to the Chinese Palolo home, but other than that, and then where it says Senator Ihara priority, let me back up. So this is my 38th legislative session, and I've been through 19 organizations. Because every 2 years you reorganize, and who gets, you share the load. And Ways and Means has always been the stabilizing factor. And even I left the House, but when Ways and Means, whenever we came in, it was used as a political tool. And we decided that we're not going to do that anymore because it's not us, it's the constituents. And the needs need to be the first priority, not favoritism. And so I feel good about our process. I have had my requests been accepted and have not had a problem at all in all my career. At the beginning, we had patronage. No, not patronage. It was a pork barrel where we had $500,000 for senators and $250,000 for House members. And we could do whatever we wanted with it. We could collect it. I think one of the universities stadium or something where you had a number of legislators put in their money to fund it. So that was a tactic used back then, and it got very controversial because you get into power plays and it doesn't reflect the community sometimes. And so it's a good process. And our Ways and Means chair is, I think, pretty transparent. So I really appreciate that. On where it says Senator Ihara priority, I believe, see, I because of what happened last year, I'm now asking, when we ask all the principals, and I have a lot of facilities outside Palolo. We have 3 priorities every year. So it's interesting, Palolo has been on a number of them. And I'm now asking, I want to make sure I don't displace a principal's priority, because that's what happened last time. When the governor had to basically wipe out $1 billion worth of CIP, well, other cash and whatnot. But a lot of them were pork barrel. And that's not bad. You want to add, but when you take away a principal's priority because of legislative priority, that should not happen. And so I'm now asking my principals, making sure that I know what their priorities, and so the rest of their priorities, where it says my priority, it probably was theirs, but I added on because they're higher amounts. And so we have been fortunate. I know the history of Palolo too, from the Burns days. And so Palolo has always been, at least Carlos Long, this Kuahea place was, there's a story behind that, and they were shunted. They were neglected. Anyway, on the siren, I was going to check to see if they can do a temporary siren. Now, if we were in a wildfire area, we would get a temporary one put up there right away. But because right now it's hurricane, tsunami, which is probably not as much as, and wildfire, we don't, the threat is not as high, probably higher than millimeter rise. But I'm thinking that at some point they must have where if it was Waianae, then they would probably put in a temporary. So I want to know what the threshold is. At what point is it the risk high enough to do a temporary, to wheel in something or add something to the park or something, add speakers or something? I mean, you hear gunshots in Palolo. I hear gunshots a lot of times, and you can probably do a sound system that can alarm the valley because it reverberates around the valley. I can answer any questions, or there's a number of things I could go over.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you. And thank you for providing this. Can we make this available
Sure.
on our share drive?
Sure.
Any questions from board members? Yep. Member Yama.
Thank you for this report on the budget items for infrastructure here in Palolo Valley. Much appreciated. I'm just wondering if you could also cover some of the monies that you're using to support staffing, healthcare, because all of us businesses are really hurting because of the shortages in staffing and just having people in general working. So if we could maybe have an update of some of the projects that are being proposed or put together to help us with staffing.
Can you say a little bit more? I know there was a nursing staffing issue yesterday, which I support. You're talking about some, or can you give me some idea? What do you have in mind?
Just everybody in general is very short of staff, right? The hotels, healthcare, the hospitals, all of us. And I was just wondering if there are any budget items that are supporting not only the infrastructure, but also the services and programs.
I don't think we can grow people faster, but we don't have a wall. So retraining, there's a bunch of bills on retraining, workforce development. But the shortages, I know about 20 years ago when ag was starting up, I did a tour around the country and we're short of migrant workers on, when you harvest. And so they would bring in people and coordinate and housing as well. So I think if we can target it, yeah, I've got to get a better idea of what you're talking about because it's all across every state too. So so immigration is one of those issues where people can't figure out, even some of the red states businesses want immigration because there's such a shortage of workers, but because of the politics, they're stuck. And so until the border issue and immigration issue because before immigration was how we build our economy. That's how we wave after wave, because we're growing, we're one of the fastest growing economies, and our birth rate is not fast enough. So that's why and so interesting how immigration is now the opposite. So I think after the election, and we can do what we can now, but I think the bigger ways to bring in skilled labor as well as retraining.
And just to address your question, so I'm happy to work with Senator Ihara and Representative Sayama to put that list together. And one specific appropriation that you would probably be interested in was a $20 million appropriation to the Department of Health for a loan repayment program for health professionals. So we can put together things like that that would help facilitate career readiness and workforce development. Any other questions from board members? Yes. Newest board member, Asuega.
First question. Here. You have, so that the people on the line can.
Oh, hi. So I had a question for the 2023, and it lists Jarrett, Kaimaki, and Kaimaki again. Were those all already done, those items?
Those were in 2023.
Yes.
No, they were appropriated last year, and so it's in this current. So it's probably in process. I'm not sure. I haven't checked as to where in the procurement process it is. I can find out.
Okay,
Yeah.
please. I just
We appropriate, and then the executive branch does the work. And so a lot of times, and actually this governor, no state governor can, in Congress can force the president to do things, to spend money. He has no light on veto. States. Governors do not have to do what legislature appropriates.
I see.
At all. Well, unless it's some emergency.
Okay.
But, and so Sometimes, especially like legislative um, personal priorities, I don't know what you call it. And the governor doesn't release those sometimes. But if it's school, and it's vetted and gone through a process, and it's needed, and then and these are actually the perimeter fencing is on its way. Actually, they're both all in process, so I can find out exactly where you want, but they are in process. I know because my staff has been working on these.
I see. The only reason why I'm questioning is because Kamiki High School recently went over, they just recently changed their entire staffing. And you mentioned principal. So I was curious on how these projects were brought up or requested if we just got a new staff. And so I'm just kind of wondering if this was suggested by the current principal, which is
It's usually it takes years and years to vet it and to research it and to justify it. Even the perimeter security fencing is a little up in the air. I think I got to go check because of the Alawai watershed, Alawai flood, because they're planning to put up a wall. I mean, the plan is a 6-foot wall. So I'm not sure if they're thinking they probably would want to put up the fencing anyway, and then later on take it down if you have a wall. But a wall is needed to keep the flood out. And there's also an issue about the softball team. There was a dispute for the softball and the. Are you familiar with the sports there?
I am.
The softball, it was a girls softball configuration, and then there was an expansion of the baseball, I think, and I think there was a conflict because they wanted to do a dual use or something. I don't know, but I know that was an issue, and I'm not sure if it was resolved or not.
And that's why I was kind of just curious because fencing, and it makes sense. And are you, when you mentioned flooding, and then as far as like the softball field, is there any plans on redoing the field entirely at all?
I'd have to check.
Okay.
I don't.
Sorry,
Well, we have the plan, so why don't I send you the plans?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we have a schematic and all of that. So why don't I, so if are you willing to look at it?
I would love.
Okay, great. Hey, so
I off top, water fountains for the kids, filtered water fountains would be amazing there. Like this
we should actually work with the Community Foundation and others
Okay.
because there are foundations that would be receptive, I think, to help out, particularly underserved communities. And we're underserved. We need more service, even though we get the same as everyone else. We need more service here, because of our community and because of our elderly community as well. So I'll work with you on that then.
Thank you.
So Chair, and then we'll keep you informed.
Yeah, Member Oswego. So what I think Senator Ihara made a good job mentioning is that our best partner and probably biggest advocate can be the principals. So if we work with them, then we can help identify some of the needs in the community that they may not be privy to. Any other questions for Senator Ihara? Member Shiraki?
Senator Ihara, can you please push for the testing of the fire alarm in our island? Okay, that's one stuff. Whatever you power you can for the make all the testing of fire alarm. Okay, like that to Sayama. And second is recreational marijuana. I hope you are against it. What did you vote on the first reading on the recreational?
Well, everyone voted for it. I voted for it. First reading. I voted for it on first reading.
You voted for
Yes,
recreational
on
marijuana?
first reading, yes.
Well, you smoking marijuana then?
Don't do that. That's
No,
really
know
out of order.
You know it's not good, okay?
Member Shiraki, so we
That's
should,
out of order.
Yeah. I can understand you do that. Okay.
You're just out of order. This is a neighborhood board meeting. No,
okay,
why
Member
I,
Shiraki, we're gonna
Yeah.
we're gonna move on. Okay?
I think so.
So I really do want to thank Senator Ihara for providing this list of budget items supporting Palolo. I do want to share that, right now the Department of Education is in a state where they are struggling to execute all of the projects that they have been given money for. Right now, the governor's proposed budget includes lapsing or not using $450 million worth, and 2 million is on this list. So if you look at the appropriations made in 2022, 19,000 of the 300,000 for Elite Iolani Elementary is on the proposed lapse list. They're proposing to not use it. The entire 1.5 million for Anui Nui for the parking lot R&M resurfacing is on that list as well, along with the 500,000 for Palolo Elementary, the covered play court resurfacing and improvements. So this is where it will be really important for us to work through our legislators to help ensure that those monies stay with the department so that they can execute on the projects. And unfortunately, I only did that analysis, I guess, for the structures physically in Palolo. So I don't know if any of these Kaimoki high school projects are on that list, but I can definitely do that. Because we were talking about the sirens, so I will just recall the email that I had with Administrator Barros from Haima. And as Representative Sayama said, the team has placed the order to replace the broken parts. Where we differ in our timeline is that Administrator Barros told me that the repairs are anticipated for this summer. So Member Shiraki, to your point, it may be faster than what was proposed to Representative Sayama, but we will work with them to expedite it as much as we can. And we'll work with Senator Ihara, as he said, to identify temporary solutions in the interim.
Can I ask you about Liulani? Did you say, mentioned 19,000?
Yes.
What is that, what's left or what's taken out?
Yeah, so I don't, oh, that is what they plan to lapse.
Out of 300,000? That's not much.
Yeah, it's not much. Yeah.
So it's not really.
And I don't know if
Maybe
that
they don't
really
need it.
impacts the
No, I don't
the
think it,
completion
yeah.
or anything.
So we'll work to actually, because the legislature has to vote to lapse.
Mhm.
So if we just leave it off the list, then it'll be okay.
Yes, this will be in the budget bill. So that would be an amendment to the
Right.
to that section. But
So
okay. Any other questions for Senator Ihara? Yes.
Aloha, Senator. So the lapsing part, I'm trying to understand that. That's every year we potentially
CIPs are
look
generally 3 years, and operating is like in the fiscal year. Unless there's an extension, there's some example of some that go beyond, but it's usually 3 years, right? You know, he's the expert on it.
So we're in a somewhat unique situation where they were given a lot of money in recent years and they were just unable to spend it all in time. So in order to essentially recycle the money, the governor proposed to lapse some of it. But we can talk more offline.
Thank you.
And we remember we had a couple years ago, we had like a $2 or $3 billion surplus. I mean, it was huge. And so more than we could spend. Well, and so what we usually do, and this is only the second time I recall, is to park the money in CIP. So basically you're saying you're planning to buy a house, you're going to pay cash, but as soon as you need the cash, you take it out and you take a loan. So that's what we did. We put a lot of money into cash just to hold it there and have it be appropriated so that it cannot be taken for something else. And I don't know how much of it, but much of those are cash that'll be taken out. And I don't know how many are going to put back in with bonds, which is a lot, you know, because we need the cash now.
So the CIP is monies that you're saying that when it gets to that level, it becomes.
Well, no, it's how you finance a capital project like a house or a building. You can borrow it or you can pay cash. And for some of these items, we're paying cash because we are flush with cash. Now that we're not, then it's wise to now actually let's do it with a bond rather than a cash because we can use cash elsewhere.
And so that's why things like the lighting for the basketball court, how does that apply?
That's a city. Yeah, I don't know.
So similar to our credit card limit, there's a bond ceiling that's set for different loan borrowers. So they're still working within some means, but we can definitely talk more offline.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Senator
All right,
Ihara.
yeah.
So I want to
So I wanted to just apologize to what's your name for calling you out, because how people vote is out of order. The motive on the floor of the Senate, we don't say you really are, you're whatever, call someone a name, and that's why you're voting. How they vote, that is the worst. That's why I wanted to call out. It's the worst thing a legislator can do is say you're voting for a nefarious reason or a wrong whatever. So I wanted to be I didn't mean to. It happened to be you, but I wanted to, and you're the strongest of all. So I appreciate the opportunity to just at least get in the air that civility is really critical nowadays.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate your constant check on our quorum. It's helpful. So I want to thank everyone for your patience and again, showing your love for being here on Valentine's Day. That brings us to the end. I'm only going to read one announcement because I do see our partners there with the Ko'olau Mountain Watershed. This is announcement agenda item 7C. So albizia is one of the most invasive trees that are harming our environment, and there's going to be a meeting there in the first week of March. But with that, again, thank you all and congratulations to our newest board member, Asuega. And with that, I adjourn. Thank you.